A little after midday, GBC received a flurry of messages and phone calls from the public telling us the Policía Nacional were stamping their passports upon entry to Gibraltar, even those who had gone into Spain just an hour earlier and not had their passports stamped. We also received reports that UK residents had been denied entry to Spain entirely unless they fulfilled all Schengen requirements. With no warning, it appeared the Spanish authorities had begun applying these regulations by the letter of the law and bypassing bridging measures. I went to the frontier to assess the situation, but was met with some confusion and a lot of inconsistency. I've spoken to people here as they're passing into Gibraltar. The first two I spoke to told me they had indeed been stamped, red ID card holders again. Minutes later, two red ID card holders told me they had not been stamped, but this again changed when, following them in the matter of minutes after that, more red ID card holders told me they were again being stamped. It's all very unclear. We will be keeping you updated as this story develops. Shortly thereafter, GBC understands a written order was received from the Cadiz office of the national government, which reinstated the bridging measures which have become the norm. Today's passport stamping set off immediate alarm bells after the chaos that ensued when it was applied last month. Then it resulted in thousands of cross-frontier workers being denied entry to the ROC without a passport when Gibraltar applied its own countermeasures at the border. This time the government was again prepared to roll out reciprocal checks, but they weren't required. Less than 2 hours after the first report of stamping, it was over. Reacting to the news, the governor commended local officers on their contribution to reaching a solution.
I think it's a repeat of what the Spanish did before. It's lasted much shorter time, only an hour, and I think great credit goes to the Commissioner of the Royal Gibraltar Police and also the Borders and Coastguard Agency for liaising with their Spanish counterparts to get the issue resolved within the hour.
For its part, the local government reacted saying it was aware that the same rogue officer deployed by the Spanish Policía Nacional at the frontier had taken steps to countermand the transitional provisions agreed between the governments of Spain, the United Kingdom, the European Union and Gibraltar, which enables both Spain and Gibraltar not to require individuals moving between Gibraltar and the Schengen area to show their passports if they are remaining in Gibraltar or Spain. It added it would not hesitate to take immediate steps to start reciprocating immediately if the position on the Spanish side of the frontier does not adhere to the agreement entered into by the respective governments. Once again, it said, decisions of the type taken today cause difficulties for ordinary people who need or wish to move from one side of the frontier to the other, when the sole reason for being a public servant or in public life should be to make the lives of people easier, so long as they're in keeping with all applicable rules and relevant agreements entered into between nations. Although it normally takes time for instructions to filter down at the frontier, the diplomatic channels today were clear. It's hoped the goodwill agreed by central governments is not undermined by one lone officer on the ground who feels he can get away with it, and that these incidents are not repeated with impunity.